Good afternoon, all the centers. Yes, children, how are you? Good afternoon. Yes. Shillong, Tamenlong, Chuachampur, Senapati, Itanagar. How is everybody? Are you people back from break? Yes. Had your lunch? Had your lunch? Yes, Shillong. Good afternoon. So, do we have any doubts from the last class? We discussed many things. We discussed spermatogenesis. We discussed oogenesis yesterday. It was a long topic. It was conceptual. But yes, you answered very well at the end of the class. So, that made me have a thought that all the things are clear to you. Okay. So, I will just show you two of the videos that will be somehow making the concept of spermatogenesis and oogenesis much more clearer. Let's see two videos, starting with spermatogenesis. Let's see this video.
Cells from which sperm cells arise. The spermatogonia divide by mitosis. One daughter cell remains a spermatogonium, and the other becomes a primary spermatocyte. The primary spermatocyte divides by meiosis to form secondary spermatocytes. Secondary spermatocytes divide again to form spermatids. The spermatids differentiate into sperm cells.
So, this video basically shows the whole process of spermatogenesis taking place in the seminiferous tubule. So, the seminiferous tubule, the outer lining, they give rise to the primordial germ cell, and following it what we have is, we have the development of the different stages of the spermatogonium.
The ovary is the site of the development of the oocyte.
Similarly, we can see the oogenesis
Within the
part
ovaries,
also.
follicles develop. Each follicle houses an oocyte which matures simultaneously with the follicle. The primary follicle houses an oocyte encapsulated by a coating called the zona pellucida. It also contains a layer of granulosa cells that surrounds the oocyte. The secondary follicle contains many more granulosa cells and an accumulation of follicular fluid that is secreted by granulosa cells. This fluid coalesces in the follicle to form the antrum. A mature follicle is much larger than a secondary follicle, and the antrum occupies a greater portion of the follicle. It is within the mature follicle that the first meiotic division of the oocyte is completed, to produce a secondary oocyte and the first polar body. The secondary oocyte receives most of the cytoplasm from the cell division. However, the nuclei and the chromosomes are divided equally. The polar body degenerates. The mature follicle ruptures at ovulation to release the secondary oocyte and a corona of granulosa cells into the uterine tube. The second meiotic division cannot be completed unless the secondary oocyte unites with the sperm cell. As a result of this division, a second polar body is formed, and the oocyte and sperm nuclei combine to form a zygote.
Zygote formation takes place, and thus what we have is the whole process of oogenesis is completed.
The ovary is the site of the development of the oocyte. Within the ovaries, follicles develop. Each follicle houses an oocyte, which matures simultaneously.
So these are the two basic things that we did yesterday's class, and today we are going to start with a new topic, that is menstrual cycle. This is a typical graph given from your book. I have taken from your book. This is called the menstrual cycle graph. This is from your book directly. So, do we have any doubts from the last class? Just let me know about it first. Yes, Shillong? Do we have any doubts, children? Yes. Shillong children. Do you have any doubts? Or shall I move ahead? Yes, people are busy in phone. Why? What happened? Your internet chat is working well? Yes, Shillong. Okay, fine. Very good. Then why are you looking at your phones? Tell me. What should I update about the menstruals, about the last topic? Any updates? Doubts? No doubts? Sure. Are you sure? No doubts? Great. So we'll start with menstrual cycle today. Let's talk about. We'll start with menstrual cycle and try and finish today itself. Okay, so menstrual cycle, the first and foremost thing, it's a cycle. So we can start from any of the phases. But yes, what we prefer is that we prefer to put it in a sequence, as in the first phase we talk about is menstrual phase. Second phase, what we have is follicular phase or proliferative phase, and third phase secretory phase or luteal phase. So menstrual phase is almost of about 3 to 5 days. The proliferative phase is of about 14 days, and this is of almost 10 days. So the whole period of the menstrual cycle is 28 to 29 days. We call this whole period to be lunar month, or the moon follows. Yes. Copy it. Did you copy? Copied, everybody? Okay, fine. Let's proceed to this particular table and let's see what are the changes happening over here. Yes, children. Okay, fine. So, this is the first phase we are talking about in this cycle. We will divide the whole things into 4 different parts. The first part would be the one showing you the pituitary hormone levels. The second part will be showing you what are the particular things happening in the ovary. Please pay attention, this is an important topic. Shillong children, please pay attention, this is an important topic. Make sure you're not missing out anything. Yeah, but people, yeah, I know many people are here, but many people are there in different world. Yes, please children. Please, look over here, this is important. You can have a question from this section and this is totally conceptual. So, you are going to score good marks from this section if it comes in exam. Okay. The third section is of ovarian hormones and the fourth section shows you the uterine levels. That is what is basically the endometrium going to undergo during different phases, because we have studied the uterus is having 3 layers. The outermost layer is called as the perimetrium, middle is said to be myometrium and the inner is said to be the endometrium. So, the endometrium is the one which is going to undergo different types of changes during the whole phases of the menstrual cycle. So, this is a particular level. Let us start from the first phase where we talk about menstruation. This whole phase of 1 to 5 days, this section. This is a particular phase which is said to be the menstrual phase. So, during this phase there is the breakdown of the endometrium, you can see over here, and the endometrium broken down is released in the form of menses. So, what is going to happen over here? Obviously, in menstrual phase, sorry, endometrium breaks down. I will tell you the reason why endometrium is breaking down after a while. Now, let us see this thing. This is the primary follicle. Okay. All the primary follicles we know are formed before the birth of the girl child or female fetus. Your lunch is still not over. Shillong, what are you having? I also want to have that. What are you having? I also want to share. Okay, please look over here, everybody. Okay, finished? Have you finished that? You did not keep anything for me. Oh, it's chana. Oh, I'm missing it. Okay, fine. So, look over here. This is primary follicle. So, we all know that all the primary follicles that are supposedly going to form, they are, okay, it's still there? Okay. Then keep it inside your bag, have it after the class. Okay. So, this is what is the primary follicle, and all the primary follicle are formed before the birth of the girl fetus. We know this thing, girl child, we have done this thing. Now, what happens over here? You can see 2 different graphs of importance. The red one over here is showing the levels of FSH. And the blue one over here is showing the levels of LH. So, we can see that initially the level of FSH is higher. This FSH is going to bring about changes in the primary follicle, where the primary follicle starts to convert into secondary, tertiary, Graafian follicle, and finally the Graafian follicle turns into a phase or gets into a phase of ovulation where it releases the secondary oocyte. This is secondary oocyte. After releasing the secondary oocyte, they are left with corpus luteum, and when the corpus luteum regresses, we have done this thing, we called it corpus albicans. Okay? So, this particular changes, these changes in the follicles from primary to secondary to tertiary to Graafian, these all changes were guided by the sex hormone called as FSH released from the pituitary, anterior pituitary. So, what does FSH do? FSH brings about the conversion of the primary follicles into the tertiary and then Graafian follicle. Causes the maturation of ovarian follicles. Now, these particular changes are taking place in which phase of the menstrual cycle? In the follicular phase of menstrual cycle. This phase up to 19 days is said to be the follicular phase or the proliferative phase. Now, what is going to happen? Now, these particular maturing follicles, they release the hormone estrogen. And what is estrogen doing? Estrogen causes the proliferation of So, estrogen is actually doing what? It is causing the proliferation of the broken endometrium. So, endometrium wall, it gets thickened during the follicular phase or the proliferative phase. As the name suggests, proliferation means rapid cell division, and this rapid cell division is because of which hormone? Is because of estrogen, the blue graph. Now, what we have over here, we have a particular peak over here of the LH hormone, and this peak is said to be LH surge. This LH surge is responsible for the process of ovulation. So, what does LH surge do? LH surge causes the mature Graafian follicle to ovulate. It causes the release of the secondary oocyte from the Graafian follicle. Now, next thing, we can see a small graph over here of FSH. Then LH starts to decrease substantially, and the particular corpus luteum is developing over here. Now, this corpus luteum releases two hormones, number one progesterone, number two estrogen. As the LH decreases, the corpus luteum also starts to degenerate or regress, and finally the progesterone levels, as you can see, goes down. So, decline in progesterone causes what? Decline in progesterone causes breakdown of endometrium. So, endometrium wall breaks in the absence of progesterone. So we have two very important hormones over here. Number one we have is estrogen, and number two we have is progesterone. The level of progesterone goes up only here, whereas estrogen has two peaks, one over here and one we have is here. This graph is clear to everybody? Is it clear? Okay, fine. The first phase happens to be the menstrual phase. This was of 3 to 5 days. What happens over here? The endometrium breaks down. We'll discuss why. I'm just leaving some space over here. Endometrium breaks down and blood vessels, mucus are released. In form of menses. So this is what is the menstrual phase of the menstrual cycle. Okay. Next phase, I'm just leaving some space over here in case I need to write something. Next is what we have is the second phase, that is the proliferative or follicular phase. It is said to be proliferative. Why? Because there is proliferation of the endometrium, that is the endometrium wall which was broken in the earlier phase, that is menstrual phase. It will be repaired, and it is said to be follicular phase. Why? Because the follicles undergo development or maturation in this phase. The follicles, they mature or they develop in this particular phase, so they are said to be follicular phase. So these two phases are remarkably important for both the endometrium as well as for the follicles. Both the things, they show many different changes. Let's start with the endometrium follicles. Let's say why endometrium is proliferating, that is the main reason. So first and foremost thing, what would happen in this phase, the whole process starts from the FSH. So we all know FSH is basically under the control of which hormone? GnRH, released from the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus releases GnRH. Let's make a flow chart. The full form of GnRH? Yes. The full form of GnRH. What is it? Full form of GnRH. Very good. Nice. Target of GnRH? Target of GnRH. Where is GnRH going to act on? Yes. Okay, the girls in the front bench, on the front bench, on my left side. Yes. In yellow sweatshirt, I guess. Red sweatshirt. Please get up and answer few questions. Yes, please. Yes, you only. Yes, yes. The girl in the red sweatshirt. Please get up and please take over keyboard for 5 minutes. Yes, thank you so much. You are going to answer some questions from chemical control and coordination for next 5 minutes. Yes, please allow her to sit. Okay. So what is the target of GnRH, child? Target of GnRH? Target of GnRH. Quickly. Okay, is this? And what is anterior pituitary going to release in its response? What is anterior pituitary going to release in its response? Please tell me. When anterior pituitary is acted upon by GnRH, what is it going to release? I cannot see her typing. Who is typing on her behalf? Okay. What is FSH going to do? This FSH is going to act on the follicles and cause its maturation. Name the mature follicle. Name the mature ovarian follicle. Quickly. Very good. So FSH is going to act upon the primary follicles, convert into secondary, secondary into tertiary, and tertiary into Graafian. And these maturing follicles, these follicles, the release the female sex hormone estrogen. So these follicles are going to release what? They are going to release the female sex hormone called as estrogen. Done? And what is this estrogen going to do? This estrogen is going to act on the broken endometrium, causing its repair or proliferation. So this proliferation or repair is basically required for what purpose? This is required for implantation if the event of fertilization takes place. Clear? Any doubts? Do you have any doubts? So it's not only the endometrium which is basically getting ready for the process of implantation, but yes, the myometrium also starts to show certain changes where it becomes much more thicker compared to the earlier process, and this all events are remarkably done for making the body prepared for the implantation process if the fertilization takes place. If. Okay, now let's again go back and see the effect of LH. Now over here we had one more hormone, that is was LH. Now on the 14th day of menstrual cycle, LH increases and it reaches a peak. Now this increase in LH is responsible for the causes ovulation of Graafian follicle, and the Graafian follicle releases what? Secondary oocyte, because we know that oocyte formation takes place only after the process of fertilization. We have done that thing in yesterday's class. So this causes ovulation of the Graafian follicle and release of secondary oocyte. The secondary oocyte released in this whole event clear up to this, everybody? Everybody, yes, Shillong, just give me a thumbs up. Very good. Very nice. Okay, the chana is still left? Or you finished it off? Chana is left? Okay. Clear? Have you copied everything? Okay. Finished what? Copying or chana? Okay. Both? Okay. Fine. So what are the basic things happening at follicular phase or proliferative phase? Number one, there is proliferation of the endometrium. This proliferation is because of which hormone? It is because of estrogen. And estrogen is released from where? It is released from the follicles. So follicles, developing follicles, they release estrogen, and estrogen causes the proliferation of the endometrium. And why does follicles undergo development? Because of hormone called as FSH. In this way, if you learn in a pathway manner, it will be very, very clear to everybody. Now, let's move ahead and see the next changes, what is going to happen. Now, the ovulation event takes place on the 14th day. The corpus luteum formation will take place after 4 to 5 days once ovulation has already occurred. See over here. Ovulation we did on this day. You can see this. Ovulation process was done on this day. Can you see? This was what day? This was 14th day. Now the development of the corpus luteum, fully functional corpus luteum I mean to say, this took place on the 19th day. So it somehow takes 4 to 5 days of time period where the Graafian follicle, it collects all its remaining parts and starts to reassemble itself in the formation of a new structure called as corpus luteum. Let's move ahead. Yes. So the next stage will be what? From the name of the luteum, we will take it to be luteal phase. Since it secretes certain hormones, it is also called as secretory phase. So this releases two hormones. What are they? Progesterone and estrogen. What is progesterone now supposedly doing? Required for maintenance of endometrium. So this is very much required for the maintenance of a fully functional endometrium. And why is endometrium required? For implantation if fertilization takes place. So we have seen the roles of two hormones. First was estrogen. Estrogen is required for the development or the proliferation of the endometrium, and progesterone is required for maintaining the already developed endometrium. So both of them have different roles. Estrogen to proliferate, to cause the formation of the cells, and endometrium to prevent its breakdown. So till the point the endometrium is high in blood, the endometrium will be the progesterone is high in blood, the endometrium will be maintained. So till the point the progesterone level is high in blood, endometrium is not going to break down. And from where the progesterone is released? Progesterone is released from corpus luteum. Yes, Shillong, are we clear? Clear, children? Copied everything? So every time there is a proliferative phase or follicular phase, we have almost 6 to primary follicles maturing this phase. If a question comes to you that how many primary follicles are participating, so you have to answer that basically it acts on like 6 to 12 primary follicles are start to get mature. In each cycle, but only one develops into Graafian follicle. Yeah, by chance, but there might be like more than one is turning out, like two are also turning out, that causes the formation of twins many a times. Like instead of one, if two of the follicles they mature, it can lead to formation of twins. So how many types of twins are there? How many types of twins are there? Yes, he's telling two. Good. 3? Siamese, I guess. You're taking into account Siamese twins also. What are they? 3 types of twins. I cannot see the number of fingers you are showing me, child. Yes, yes, you can type if you wish. So, do you watch Bollywood movies? Do you people watch Bollywood movies? Because in Hollywood there is no no exception to science rules. They follow the science rules very nicely. But Bollywood people, they deny to do so. They will not follow variations, they will not follow inheritance, crossing over, recombination. They don't follow anything. Yes, there are 3 types of twins, very good. Identical, non-identical and Siamese, nice. So, identical twins, they are formed when the zygote splits. So, in the next event when we deal with fertilization, there will be a particular stage where the zygote is formation taking place, morula, blastula. So, at that stage, if the zygote or the morula, they split into 2 and they start developing as an individual, they will be totally identical to each other since they have been fertilized by the same sperm. One ovum fertilized by one sperm. Non-identical is the case where 2 different ovums are fertilized by 2 different sperms. And Siamese is actually identical, but they fail to separate from each other. That is, their body parts, they might remain attached. Like if you have seen, there are many of the twins who have common stomach, common brain. There was a case of Afghani sisters, I don't know, I don't remember the year, but if you Google on the internet, you will find it out. There was a case of Afghani sisters, they were having their brains attached. So the doctors, they initiated an operation where they tried to separate out their brains and make them different individuals, but yes, the operation was not successful and they died. Both of them, they died during that operation. So they share the same parts. They might be the parts of their body, stomach, many times the excretory system also, many times the brain section also. So that is what is called as Siamese. So they fail to detach. If the body parts, they are attached, the doctors, they separate it during the birth only. At time of birth, the doctors, they perform operations, small operations, and they separate it out. But yes, if they are sharing the same stomach, same excretory organ, it is a bit of difficult thing. Yes, many issues they arise, ethical, social. Yes. So these are the particular cases of twins. Very good, nice one. So we'll move back to main topic. Let's talk about, so every time how many follicles are maturing? Every time 6 to 12 primary follicles are maturing. So name the stage where primary follicles are formed. First option, before birth. Second option, the time period between birth and puberty. Third option, after puberty. Primary follicles developed at what stage? Before birth, between birth and puberty, or after puberty? Easy one. Excuse me. Very good. So, you people are doing good, nice. So, you have copied all these things? Okay, very nice, very good. Keep it up. So, till the progesterone levels are high in the blood, what is going to happen? The endometrium will not break down. That means, if the progesterone levels undergo any kind of changes or fluctuations. You can see over here. If the progesterone levels, they start to show any kind of decrease, you can see over here in the last phase. I'm just marking it over here. Can you see this? Progesterone level is declining. So if the progesterone level is declining, what is happening to the endometrium? Endometrium is also breaking down. Why? Because progesterone is required for maintenance of endometrium. If endometrium is not there, if the progesterone is not there, the endometrium will also break down. So let's go back to the first part. I left some page over here also, some space also. So endometrium breaks down as corpus luteum degenerates. We know what is going to happen. If it degenerates, progesterone decreases. So basically, what is the phenomenon? The corpus luteum degenerates is the first section, and when corpus luteum degenerates, the next consequence would be what? There would be a decrease in progesterone, and this would be resulting in breakdown of the endometrium. So on an average, to 80 ml of blood loss takes place per cycle, and the characteristic feature of this blood is that it never clots. This menstrual blood does not clots, and this is because of what? This is because of the reason it has fibrinolytic enzymes. Done? Clear? Sorted? Very good. Ovary has ovarian follicles, and these ovarian follicles, they release estrogen and inhibin. You know the functions of estrogen we have done in chemical control and coordination also, but let's repeat once again. Development of secondary sexual characters, protein formation, similar to testosterone. Testosterone also has a role in protein formation, decreases blood cholesterol. This is one reason why females have lesser heart diseases compared to males. You must have heard this thing, that females are less prone to heart diseases because naturally we are protected by estrogen, which actually has a natural effect on decreasing blood cholesterol level. It increases deposition of calcium in bones and causes release of FSH, LH from the anti-repituitary. Done? Let's see inhibin. What is inhibin doing? Obviously, as the name suggests, this inhibits the release of FSH and LH. Clear? Next thing what we have is corpus luteum. What does corpus luteum releases? Number one, estrogen, same function. Let's see progesterone. This prepares the endometrium for implantation axon mammary glands, yes, this is having somewhat different role compared to estrogen in this section. If you just pay attention to this thing, estrogen was basically releasing the FSH, LH, and obviously if it is FSH and LH, it has to be automatically GnRH as well, because GnRH is going to promote the release of FSH and LH in turn. So they cause the release of these particular things, whereas progesterone, this inhibits the release of these hormones. So we have somewhat different roles of progesterone and estrogen when you talk about the release, a feedback mechanism. So in a way I can say that progesterone is basically acting on the feedback mechanism in a way that it prevents the process of ovulation, or it prevents the process of follicle maturation till its level are higher. In the next chapter when we talk about conception, the methods of contraception, they will be seeing there are progesterone pills also available. These progesterone pills, they act in a similar way. That is, we could say if there is a high progesterone level in the blood, okay, there's a high progesterone in blood, what is going to cause is that it causes the suppression of GnRH, FSH and LH, and this will in turn cause what? This suppression in turn is going to cause what? It prevents the maturation of ovarian follicles. So this is the same concept we are using in contraceptive pills as well, the progesterone pills. So this is quite important for you. Am I clear with this concept? That high progesterone is going to cause the suppression of all these hormones. And if these hormones are not present, what is going to happen? Yes, this would not cause the maturation of the ovarian follicles. Yes, Shillong? Clear? Everybody? Okay, let's talk about relaxin. I will be giving you certain MCQs to solve after this. Whole things we are done. Let's talk about relaxin. What does it do? It prevents the contraction of uterus, number 1. Number 2, during later stages of pregnancy, it relaxes the cervix, that is the birth canal. So it makes the process of childbirth easier. And number 4th hormone what we have after relaxin is from the corpus luteum is inhibin, having the same roles that we discussed in this section, same as above. Inhibits release of FSH and LH. So what is first menstrual cycle called as? The first menstrual cycle is called as what? Yes, it's called as menarche. Very good. And what is the last menstrual cycle called as? Have you copied everything? All of you? Menopause. Very good. Okay. So can we say that after menopause, just tell me if I am true or false, I am correct or incorrect. After menopause, okay, average 50 years like they say. Just tell me this is true or false. Why? Why? Why is it so? Very good. Very nice. Because the end of menstrual cycle, it remarks that there are no follicles left in the ovary for maturation. Okay. So there is no follicular maturation. If there is no follicular maturation, that means there is no estrogen. Since we have studied that estrogen was responsible for depositing calcium in the bones, so bones will not have calcium deposition and will be prone to osteoporosis, a condition where the bones become fragile, easy to break. Fine. Clear, sorted. Very good. I'll just send you this picture. Clear? So we'll have some questions. Okay, start. Let's start with the questions. Very good. So you can show me like everybody's response. I want to see, since we are doing this chapter, since last week. I guess we must be very much clear with the things. So can we have our own code for everybody so that we can participate in answering the questions? Yes, like we did here earlier also. Can we have our codes? Yes. Oh, so much of love. What is it, Shillong? Feeling sleepy? No? Okay. Chana has a lot of iron content. Iron content will obviously prevent anemia, and if anemia is not there, you will have lots of oxygen supply to all the body parts, and that will keep you activated. So in that ways, you should be very, very active after having that chana and all. Okay. Cells of Leydig occurs in which section? Obviously, it occurs in testes. Very good. Okay. Next question. Quickly, everybody participate in it. Please. Answer quickly, children. What is a mature sperm? Pair of flagella? Yes. A nucleus, acrosome, pair of centrioles and a tail. Name the centrioles. Name the centrioles. I did not give you a break because I will be leaving. I started a bit late because you people are back from the lunch after a long time. So Subhay sir asked me to go at this time, so I did not give you a break today. I wanted to finish this topic anyhow today. Okay, fine. So name the centrioles, proximal and yes. So if I say you that is actually not a pair, but there are 3 centrioles. I have taught you 2, it's okay. But if I tell you that there are 3 centrioles, the first is proximal, distal and a ring centriole. Proximally we know what is it going to do. It enters the ovum and starts cleavage. Distal is the one which gives rise to axial filament, and the function, the location of ring is at the end of mitochondria. Obviously, we need to mention spiral mitochondria, and its function is unknown. Till now, people are going to find out what its function is basically. So, we have 3 centrioles, not 2, but yes, obviously, because of this question has no such answer, so this would be the most appropriate one. And as per NCERT also, this is the most appropriate answer. So in NCERT, they did not mention ring centriole, but this, yes, there is one more centriole called as, yes, till date, the function is not known. You will have some papers which will claim on different types of functions, but obviously we don't have much knowledge about its main functioning. Okay. Different people, they project different types of functions. So there is no clear mentioning that, okay, this thing is going to do this thing. So clear mentioning is not there. Moving ahead. Cleavage starts after fertilization in which part? Cleavage starts after fertilization in which part? Yes. Please answer. Cleavage. Uterus, why? Cleavage will always start in fallopian tube. See, they start in fallopian tube, the morula starts to roll down and keeps on rolling, and then it comes to uterus. So cleavage will always take place, the first cleavage will take place in the fallopian tube itself. Okay? Yes. This question? Very good. This one? Name the 3 layers of the testes. The first is tunica vaginalis. Then we have is tunica albuginea, and then we have is tunica vasculosa. Vasculature is actually the whole section of the testis, and this forms testicular lobules. Fine? Yes. But obviously we are talking about protective layer. See, protective. So this is not protective layer. This is only layer which actually gets divided into different types of different sections of testicular lobules. So this is not layer, actually this is just a kind of matrix which is dividing into different sections of testicular lobules. We have done this question. Okay, this one. FSH. Yes. Just read it out. C option is follicle stimulating hormone FSH indirectly stimulates spermatogenesis. Yes. Answer this question, please. Okay, very good. So all of them are correct. Next, this question. Found in adrenal cortex and secretes adrenaline. Okay, this is not correct. Found in ovaries, pancreas. Yes, easy one. This one. Morula in humans, okay, have you not discussed morula? Okay, so we are left with the structure of ovum. Let's discuss this thing. So first of all, the particular structure of ovum is covered by two cells, two layers of, the outermost layer is said to be corona radiata, and this corona radiator cell layer is made up of follicular cells. These follicular cells are attached to each other by cementing material called as hyaluronic acid. So what is hyaluronic acid? Is a cementing material that attaches the different follicular cells to form the outermost layer of the ovum called as corona radiata. Okay, talking about structure of ovum. Clear? It's characteristic of mammalian egg. Next layer is said to be the inner, is called as zona pellucida. This is a clear gel-like structure secreted by oocyte. So oocyte itself secretes this layer of zona pellucida, which is non-cellular. So if a question comes to you that which of the following layers are formed of cellular material, you have to answer corona radiata. Corona radiata is cellular and zona pellucida is non-cellular. Be very, very clear about it. So the whole size of the egg, if you talk about the ovum or the oocyte, is roughly 0.1 mm. We are talking about mammalian egg. So we have two membranes, the primary zona pellucida and secondary the corona radiata. This is said to be, the inner is said to be primary because this is formed first, and the outer is said to be secondary because it is formed next to it. We don't have any tertiary membrane. So just make a note of it that mammalian eggs or ovum do not have a tertiary membrane. So we do have only primary and secondary membranes. Yes, clear? Copy it. Sorted. Yes, children. So coronary artery is made up of, now you can answer this question, it is made up of follicular cells around the oocyte. Okay. This question please. Development of corpus luteum is under the influence of which hormone? Good one. Corpus luteum develops under which hormone? Effect of which hormone? Why progesterone? Corpus luteum releases progesterone. If the question would have been corpus luteum releases which hormone, then your answer should be progesterone or estrogen. Corpus luteum is always and always formed because of LH. Why? Because LH causes ovulation of Graafian follicle. After ovulation, the Graafian follicle, the remaining parts of the Graafian follicle, they release this particular structure called as corpus luteum, and this corpus luteum is a source of the two female sex hormones, that is progesterone and estrogen. Clear? So your correct option should be LH. Okay, we'll not discuss this. Okay, this one very easy. Where is this thing? Correct. Where is this thing? Have you studied this? Have you studied this? Where did you study this? I have taught you this. Quick. Should not take that much of time. The tract of nerve fibers that are connecting the cerebral hemispheres are said to be corpus callosum. Just revise your notes from nervous system. Yes. Not dividing, child. It's actually connecting them. It's not dividing, it is connecting them. Make it sure. It's connecting, not dividing. Okay. This one? Why does corpus luteum disintegrates? Why does corpus luteum disintegrates? Yes, obviously, because of non-availability, because as the progesterone level decreases, as the LH level decreases, corpus luteum also breaks down. Very good. Last question. Last question for today's session. Easy one. Yes. So spermatogonia develops into spermatocyte as primary, then secondary, and then spermatid, and then finally those sperms are forming. Can you have this question also? This is very easy. Last. This one is seriously last. Okay, fine. So lots of reproductive capacity after age of 45. Just read it. Read the question. Yes, read the question carefully. You're out to make these kinds of mistakes in NEET exam also. Please be careful about your answers. Okay, all of you. Don't be in a hurry. Okay, so let's end up today's class over here. I do have many more questions. We'll discuss in next classes. We'll start up with fertilization topic in the next class. Just go back home and read everything from your book as well as the notes what we have done in the class, and just please let me know if you have any doubts. It's now since years I feel like you've asked me any doubt, any question. So please make sure you are doing things, you are doing your part of work. We are doing, but let's be sure you are also doing your part of work, because yes, it's May only, your exams are coming, and we are at the end of October now. I would say October has ended, because in the next class when I am going to meet you, it will be November. So we have finished with October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Only these many months are left, out of which you have to keep at least 4 months reserve for vigorous study. Last minute study is not going to help you out. Please make it sure, because last minute study will make you panic, will make you go into anxiety. Your emergency hormones, that is adrenaline, will be high, and yes, you can fall ill also. That is one of the most important concern, because now you have only one exam, that is NEET. You don't have any other exams for getting selected in any of the PMT colleges. So please make sure you are doing your part of things now only, since now only you are focusing on each and every subject, not only biology, but yes, physics and chemistry also, because everything is going to play a major role. Okay, you people are in hurry, so let's end up. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Please study. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you again. Happy Diwali.